Nehemiah chapter 1. The words of Nehemiah son of Hakaliah. Now it happened that in the month of Kislev in the 20th year, while I was in Shushan the capital, that Hanani, one of my brothers, together with some men from Judah, arrived, and I asked them about the Judeans, the remnant who had survived the captivity, and about Jerusalem. They said to me, the remnant who have survived this captivity there in the province are in great distress and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. Upon hearing these words, I sat down and wept and mourned for days. I prayed and fasted before the God of heaven. Then I said, Adonai, God of heaven, the great and awesome God, who keeps the covenant and loving kindness with those who love him and keep his mitzvot. Please let your ear be attentive and your eyes open to hear the prayer of your servant that I am praying before you today, both day and night on behalf of your servants, the Bnei Israel. I'm confessing the sins of Bnei Israel that we have sinned against you. Yes, I and my ancestral house have sinned. We have acted very corruptly against you. We have not kept the mitzvot, the statutes, nor the rulings that you commanded your servant Moses. Please recall the word that you commanded your servant Moses, saying, if you act unfaithfully, I will scatter you among the peoples. But if you return to me and obey my mitzvot and do them, then even if your dispersed people are at the ends of the heavens, I will gather them from there and bring them back to the place where I have chosen for my name to dwell. They are your servants and your people, whom you redeemed by your great strength and by your right hand. Please, my Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to the prayer of your servants who delight in revering your name. Give your servant success today and grant compassion in the presence of this man. Now I was a cupbearer to the king. Chapter 2. Then in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was set before him, I took the wine and gave it to the king. I had not been sad in his presence before. So the king said to me, why is your face so sad when you are not ill? This can be nothing but sadness of heart. I was very frightened, but I said to the king, may the king live forever. Why should my face not be sad when the city where my ancestors are buried lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire? The king asked me, what is your request? Then I prayed to the God of heaven, and I answered the king, if it seems good to the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, send me to the city in Judah where my ancestors are buried, that I may rebuild it. Then the king, with the queen sitting beside him, asked me, how long will your journey take, and when will you return? Since it pleased the king to send me, I set a time for him. I said to the king, if it pleases the king, let him give me letters for the governors of Trans-Euphrates that will enable me to pass through until I arrive in Judah, as well as a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, so he will give me lumber to make beams for the gates of the fortress adjacent to the temple, for the wall of the city, and for the residence I will occupy. The king granted me the request because the good hand of my God was upon me. Then I went to the governors of Trans-Euphrates, and I gave them the king's letters. The king had also sent army officials and cavalry with me. When Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite officials heard all this, they were very displeased that a man had come to seek the welfare of Bnei Israel. I came to Jerusalem, and after I was there for 3 days, I got up during the night along with few men, but I did not tell anyone what my God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. There were no animals with me except the animal I was riding. By night I went out by the valley gate toward Jackal Spring and the Dung Gate, inspecting the walls of Jerusalem. which had been broken down, and its gates, which had been destroyed by fire. Then I moved on to the fountain gate and to the king's pool, where there was not enough room for my animal to pass with me. So I went up the valley by night, examining the wall. Finally, I turned back and returned to the valley gate. The officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing, but as yet I had not told the Jews, the Kohanim, the nobles, the officials, or the rest of the workers. Then I said to them, "You see the bad situation we are in. Jerusalem is desolate and its gates have been burnt. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem so that we will no longer be a disgrace." Then I told them how the good hand of my God was on me and the words that the king had said to me. Then they replied, "Let us begin building." So they prepared themselves for this good work. But when Sanballat the Haranite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab heard about it, they mocked and ridiculed us. They said, "What is this you are doing? Are you rebelling against the king?" I responded to them, saying, "The God of heaven will bring us success. We, his servants, will arise and build, but you have no part, right, or historical claim in Jerusalem." Chapter 3. Then Eliashib, the Kohen Gadol, and his brothers the Kohanim arose and built the sheep gate. They dedicated it and set up its doors, dedicating it as far as the Tower of the 100 and as far as the Tower of Hananel. The men of Jericho built next to it, and Zakur, the son of Imri, built next to him. The sons of Hasena built the fish gate. They laid its beams and set up its doors, its bolts, and its bars next to him. Meribot, son of Uriah, son of Hakos, made repairs. Adjacent to them, Meshulam, son of Berechiah, son of Meshezabel, made repairs, and next to them, Zadok, son of Bana, made repairs. The men of Tekoa made repairs next to them, but their nobles would not put their shoulders to the work of their masters. Joiada, son of Paseah, and Meshulam, son of Besodeiah, repaired the old gate. They laid its beams and set up its doors and its bolts and its bars. Adjacent to them worked Melatiah the Gibeonite and Jadon the Geronothite, men from Gibeon and Mizpah, who were under the jurisdiction of the governor of Trans-Euphrates. Uziel, son of Haraiah, one of the goldsmiths, worked adjacent to them, and Hananiah, one of the perfumers, worked next to him. They restored Jerusalem as far as the broad wall. Raphaiah, son of Hur, ruler of half the district of Jerusalem, made repairs next to them. Jedaiah, son of Harumaph, repaired the section adjacent to them opposite his house, and Hattush, son of Hashabneiah, worked next to them. Malchiah, son of Harim, and Hashub, son of Pahath Moab, repaired another section and the tower of the furnaces. Shallum, son of Halohesh, the ruler of half the district of Jerusalem, and his daughters repaired the next section. Hanun and the inhabitants of Zanoah repaired the valley gate. They built it and set up its doors, its bolts, and its bars. They also repaired 1,000 cubits of wall up the dung gate. Malchiah, son of Rechab, the ruler of the district of Beth Heden, repaired the dung gate. He built it and set up its doors, its bolts, and its bars. Shallun, son of Kol-Hoseh, the ruler of the district of Mizpah, repaired the fountain gate. He built it, covered it, and set up its doors, its bolts, and its bars. He also repaired the wall of the pool of Shelah by the king's garden, as far as the stairs going down from the city of David. Beyond him, Nehemiah, son of Azbuk, the ruler of half the district of Beth-zur, made repairs as far as the tombs of David and the artificial pool and the house of the warriors. After him, the Levites made repairs under Rehum, son of Bani, and beside him, Hashabiah, the ruler of half the district of Keilah, made repairs for his district. After him, repairs were made by their brothers under Bavai, son of Henadad, the ruler of half the district of Keilah. Adjacent to him, Azer, son of Jeshua, the ruler of Mitzpah, repaired another section opposite the ascent to the armory at the corner buttress. After him, Baruch, son of Akai, Zakai, zealously repaired another section from the corner buttress up to the door of the house of Eliashib, the Kohen Gadol. After him, Merboth, son of Uriah, son of Hakos, repaired another section from the door of the house of Elishib to the end of the house of Eliashib. And after him the Kohanim worked. Men from the surrounding district, after them Benjamin and Hashub made repairs in front of their house. After them Azariah son of Maaseiah son of Ananiah worked beside his house. Beyond him Binui son of Henadad repaired another section from the house of Azariah up to the inner buttress in the corner. Palau, son of Uzai, made repairs opposite the inner buttress and the tower coming out from the upper palace, which is by the court of the guard. After him, Pedaiah, son of Perosh, and the temple servants living on the Ophel made repairs up to the area opposite the water gate toward the east and the projecting tower. After him, the men of Tekoa repaired another section from opposite the great projecting tower to the wall of Ophel. Above the horse gate, the Kohanim worked, each in front of his own house. After them, Zadok son of Immer made repairs opposite his house, and after him, Shemaiah son of Shechaniah, the guard of the east gate, made repairs. After him, Hananiah son of Shelemiah and Hanun the sixth son of Zelaph repaired another portion. After him, Meshullam son of Berechiah made repairs in front of his living quarters. After him, Malchiah, one of the goldsmiths, made repairs up to the house of the temple servants and the merchants opposite the inspection gate, and as far as the room above the corner. Between the room above the corner and the sheep gate, the goldsmiths and the merchants worked. Now when Sanballat heard that we were building the wall, he became very angry and was greatly enraged. He mocked the Jews in the presence of his colleagues and the army of Samaria, saying, "What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they fortify themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they finish in a day? Can they revive the stones from the heaps of rubble that are burnt?" Then Tobiah the Ammonite, who was beside him, said, "Even if a fox climbed on what they are building, it would break down their stone wall. Hear our God, for we are despised. Turn their insult back on their own head. Give them up as plunder in the land of captivity. Do not cover their guilt or blot out their sin from before you, for they have provoked you to anger before the builders." So we rebuilt the wall, and the entire wall was joined together up to half its height, for the people had a heart to work. Chapter 4. Now when Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabians, the Ammonites, and the people of Ashdod heard that restoration of the walls of Jerusalem was proceeding, and that the breaches had begun to be closed, they became extremely angry. They all conspired together to come and fight against Jerusalem, and to stir up trouble against it. But we prayed to our God and stationed a guard against them day and night. Meanwhile, the people of Judah said, "The strength of the laborers is failing. There's so much rubble that we are unable to rebuild the wall." Our adversaries also said, "They will not know or perceive anything until we come among them and kill them, and put an end to their work." So it happened that the Jews living near them came and told us 10 times over, "Wherever you turn, they will attack us." So I stationed people in the lower places behind the wall in the exposed places. I stationed the people by families with their swords, spears, and bows. When I looked things over, I rose up and said to the nobles, the rulers, and the rest of the people, "Do not be afraid of them. Remember the great and awesome Lord, and fight on behalf of your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. Now, when our enemies heard that their plans was known to us and that God had frustrated it, we all returned to the wall, each to his work. From that day on, half of my men who were doing the work, half of them took hold of the spears, shields, bows, and breastplates, and the leaders were behind the entire house of Judah, whose building the wall and whose bearing heavy burdens kept one hand on the work and the other holding a weapon. So each of the builders had his sword strapped up to his side while they were building, and the shofar blower was beside me. Then I said to the nobles, the rulers, and the rest of the people, the work is extensive and spread out, and we are widely separated from one another on the wall. Wherever you hear the sound of the shofar, join us there. Our God will fight for us. So we continued the work with half the men holding spears from dawn until the stars came out. Also at that time I said to the people, let every man and his helper lodge inside Jerusalem, so they can be guards for us by night and workers by day. So neither I nor my brothers, nor my workers, nor the guards who were with me took off our clothes. Each man had his weapon at the water. Chapter 5. Then there was a great outcry from the people and their wives to their fellow Jews. There were those who said, we and our sons and our daughters are numerous. We must take grain so we may eat and live. There were others who said, we are mortgaging our fields, our vineyards, and our houses in order to obtain grain during the famine. Still others were saying, we have borrowed money to pay the king's tax on our fields and vineyards. And now, though we share the same flesh as our brothers, and our children are just like their children, still we subject our sons and our daughters to slavery. Some of our daughters have already been enslaved, but our hands are tied since our fields and vineyards belong to others. I was very angry when I heard their outcry and these words. I pondered them in my heart, and then I opposed the nobles and the officials, saying to them, usury, each of you is putting his brother in debt. So I convened a great assembly to deal with them. I said to them, as much as possible, we have bought back our fellow Jews who had been sold to the nations. So you also are selling your brothers so that they will be sold back to us. Then they became silent and could not find anything to say. Then I said, the thing that you are doing is not good. Shouldn't you walk in the fear of our God in order to avoid the reproach of our Gentile enemies? Even I, my brothers, and my servants are lending them money and grain. Let this usury stop now. Now return to them this very day their fields, their vineyards, their olive groves, and their houses, as well as the hundreds that you have extracted from them on the money, the grain, the new wine, and the fresh oil. Then they said, we will restore these and require nothing from them. We will do just as you say. Then I summoned the Kohanim, and I made them swear to do according to this promise. Also I shook out my garment and said, in this way may God shake out from his house and from his property every one that does not keep this promise. In this way may he be shaken out and emptied. And all the assembly replied, Amen, and they praised Adonai. So the people did according to this promise. Moreover, from the day when I was appointed to be the governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year to the 32nd year of King Artaxerxes, 12 years, neither I nor my relatives have eaten the bread allocated to the governor. The earlier governors, those preceding me, placed heavy burdens on the people and took bread and wine from them, in addition to 40 shekels of silver. Their attendants also lorded over the people, but I did not do so out of fear of God. Instead, I devoted myself to work on this wall. Without even buying a field, all my attendants were gathered there for the work. Furthermore, 150 Judeans and officials, as well as those that came to us from the nations around us, were at my table. Now each day 1 ox and 6 choice sheep, as well as some fowl, were prepared for me, and every 10 days an abundance of every kind of wine was prepared. Despite all this, I did not require the governor's food allowance, because the work was already heavy on this people. Remember me for good, O my God, for all that I have done for this people.